Congratulations on just getting engaged and you're just starting a journey into looking into a photographer. And probably the top question that you have is, what do I even ask a photographer? Hi, I'm Travis Monroe of Monroe Film and Photo, and today I'm going to review a few different questions that we commonly get asked as far as looking into getting a wedding photographer. So to kick things off, first thing I'm going to say, this is a disclaimer that every photographer is going to have different packages and different options as far as what they're looking for. These are just general questions that we commonly receive, and I'm going to be answering a lot of things as far as what we personally do. But in regards to looking for any sort of photographer, these are some common questions that you should make sure that you have an understanding of and make sure that you're on the same page with them as far as what you're looking for and what you need on a wedding day. The biggest and most common question that we receive is, how many hours do I really need a photographer for? And this is a great question because it is a really broad range as far as what you need to have covered on your wedding day. For some couples, it's really important that they get a lot of the detail shots and they want every little thing documented as far as like the cufflinks, the dresses, the flowers, everything like that. And for others, it's like, yeah, I want coverage on my wedding day, but I don't need to have a picture of every little thing. So that's definitely something that you want to be asking right away and will probably determine how many hours that you get for your wedding day. On a typical wedding day, we have packages for an 8-hour coverage and 10 hours of coverage. And if that's something that you really want attention to detail and you want a lot of those extra little shots, we definitely recommend then going with a 10-hour package so that you give us an extra hour or two on the front end of your wedding day when we arrive, that we can spend some time making sure that we get those details. Because during that time frame, typically, if we show up at about 11 o'clock, you're still in the process of getting ready, hair and makeup, things like that. So we can get some great coverage of that, but then also we'll have that time to get some awesome shots of the dress. We can get those details as far as like what your invites look like, rings and cufflinks and maybe perfume, flowers. We can add all that stuff into all these different shots and we really can spend some time getting those details. If that's something that's really important to you, you'll definitely want to make sure that your photographer gets there a few extra hours before you get into your first looks and such, because kind of once that gets rolling, then it's really busy go time as far as trying to knock out as many photos as possible. However, if you don't care so much about having shots of every little thing and you just want to kind of get the day going, then maybe the 8-hour package that we offer is a better fit for you, where we start more at about 12:30, 1 o'clock, try to target about 30 minutes or so before you're in your wedding dress through first dances. So if that's something that is more important to you, then yeah, we can definitely start a little bit later and just get a few quick shots of the dress and different things like that. It's totally dependent on what you're looking at as far as getting those details for the coverage. Another common question that we receive on the photography side of things is, what exactly should we be doing within that coverage of between getting ready and our ceremonies? Typically between that timeline, if you're doing a ceremony that's later in the day, say about 4 or 5 o'clock, what we want to do then is we want to knock out as many photos as we can before that. So a typical timeline would be maybe 1 o'clock, you guys are doing a first look. During the first look then, whether you're doing it with your bridal party, your parents, grandparents, or just with the groom, we're going to focus on those things. And then once first looks are done, then that's when we're going to roll into more photos. During that time frame, typically we work with the couple, then we start bringing in bridal party, and then we bring in family, friends, all those other photos that we want to get. So it's really important to talk with your photographer, make sure that that timeline of in between that 1 to 4 o'clock range, that you're getting all the combos that you need. And then with that time too, you also want to make sure that you're taking time to have some breaks in there as well, because it is a lot of work standing there and smiling for multiple hours. Definitely plan on having at least some little mini breaks. Or maybe you just want to knock everything out and then you have that solid hour, hour and a half before the wedding that you can chill, relax, have a drink, whatever you need to do to be prepared for your ceremony time. Then once the ceremony gets going, then that's where on the photography side of things, it gets a little bit easier, because then you can just be yourself. You don't have to focus on, am I smiling? Am I doing this or that? And then the photographers will kind of kick into high gear, making sure that we're getting those detail shots. We're getting all the extra people throughout the ceremony, grand march speeches, all those different things. We typically don't really need to work you anymore. So you're able to go out and enjoy your wedding day while we're capturing all the behind the scenes and docu-style shots that people love to see. Really, the only other time that we're going to bother you is probably for sunset shots, which happen around 7:30, 8 o'clock, depends, of course, on the time of year that you're getting married. So that's probably the next time that we're going to bother you and say, hey, let's go out and get some fun shots there, because who doesn't love a good sunset shot? Another common question that you should definitely ask your photographer is, are they bringing flash to your wedding? Flash photography is super vital in areas that it's really, really dark. And there are some photographers that say, nope, I'm a natural light photographer, which means they don't bring flash, they don't do anything like that. They just work with what they have. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. It's a style approach. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. If you want everything to look super bright, no matter what the conditions are, make sure then that your photographer knows and understands how to use flash, and look for those type of images. If you see images where it doesn't look like there's a ton of lighting and stuff like that, make sure to ask, is that a style choice or is it because that they don't bring a flash? It definitely makes a difference in how your images look. Specifically for images like on the dance floor, if things are a lot darker, then that can introduce what's called noise in the photos as well. So that's just something to keep in mind of if you want really clean looking stuff or if you want stuff that looks a little more authentic to your wedding day. Another question to ask your photographers is how many people are on their team? There's some people that go out there that it's only that one photographer that's working the entire time. Typically, most photographers at least have a second shooter with them, just have that little bit more flexibility. It also adds to the speed of the day as well, as far as like when we're trying to get shots and making sure that we're staying on time and also giving you guys a chance to get a lot of breaks. I also have worked photographers where they've had 3-4 people there and a couple people are just simply holding gear, doing different things like that. So find out how many people they're bringing to the wedding day, because there's certainly times where I've worked with couples where they're like, yeah, we didn't want this many people here. So definitely have an understanding of what they're bringing to the table in terms of people and gear so that you have a comfort level in terms of what expectations are when they show up. An important question to ask too in regards to photographers and their gear they bring is if they're comfortable using different lenses throughout the wedding day. Now, what does this mean as far as how your images look? Well, there's a lot of different things that different lenses can do for your wedding day. But one of the biggest things that you should have an understanding of is how close are the photographers going to be to you during certain events? We've worked with photographers where all they shoot all day is on a super wide lens, like a 35mm or something like that, which is a great lens. It looks super, super awesome, and it's also very natural looking to your eye. But then the downside is that they're gonna have to be in your face all the time when it comes to getting some really close shots. Otherwise, other photographers, if they use a variety of lenses and they use zoom lenses, they can hang back a little further, get some different type of shots that way as well. So it's something that you definitely want to keep in mind. If you're a type of person that while you like photos, you don't want a camera necessarily in your face 24/7, maybe find out, hey, do you use a variety of lenses or are you strictly using one wide angle lens that then you're gonna crop and do a bunch of post-production to give us a variety? Another common question that you should be asking your photographers is what exactly is included in terms of the deliverables? Most photographers, they're gonna give you several hundred images that they edit and culled together, giving you the best of the best throughout your wedding day. And so a question would be is how many photos should I expect for the deliverables? But also, do I get the rights to those photos so that I can print them and do whatever I want with them on my own? There are some photographers out there that they hold the rights to their photos and you have to buy directly from them if you want anything like that. They probably have a really high-end printer that they like to work with, and so therefore it's just a matter of quality control that they do so that their images look stunning every single time. Or for us personally, what we do is we go ahead and we put all the images that we've culled and edited for you, put them on a Google Drive and deliver it to you, and then you're able to download and save and do whatever you want with them from there. So if that's something that is more what you're looking for, where you want to have a lot of images but you also want to save some cash, that's a great option for you. Or if you really love a photographer and how they handle their prints and everything, make sure to find that out as well so that you can order directly from them. Another great thing to find out about with photographers is really studying how their images look on their website, on their social media platforms. There's a lot of trends that get out there as far as what the coloring looks like on photos, whether right now it's kind of like, you know, those dark green tones and stuff like that, or it's more bright and airy, or you have the natural look as well, where the photos just simply, you don't look like how they should look in terms of what your eye sees and perceives them. We personally color everything to look very natural so that stands the test of time, whereas common looks like the darker tones that you might see out there. In 30 years, you might look at your wedding photos and be like, man, I wish I had something that looked a little brighter or looked more natural to what our wedding day actually looked like instead of what this time-locked image might be. So that's something to definitely find out if you have that flexibility. Some photographers offer a couple different looks or they customize different things. So definitely study what your photographer produces and make sure that that's what you want. Ultimately, what I tell couples is that if you don't like the look and style that you see from a photographer, find someone who does, because you're probably going to end up disappointed if you expected one thing but you received something else. And if that photographer doesn't show the necessary skills in what you're looking for, you're just going to end up being disappointed, and they're going to be disappointed as well because they're not going to be able to hit what you're looking for. All right, there you have it. There's a few different questions that you can ask your photographer on the wedding day. If you have any additional questions that you'd like to have asked, please let us know in the comments below, and thanks for tuning in.